So why do we need measures of spread? Whenever we report a measure of central tendency, we should also report some measure of spread so we can get a better picture of the data. As we discussed last week, measures of central tendency, especially the mean, can be affected by outliers. So typically, if we report the mean, we are going to report the standard or the mean absolute deviation with it as its measure of spread. When we report the median, we report the IQR or the range as the measure of spread. Remember, we did IQR before. And then outliers are determined by these measures of spread. Let's look at mean absolute deviation, also known as the MAD. The MAD is the distance that all of the data values would be if the data values were equally distant from the mean. The MAD helps us describe the concentration of the data around the mean, about how far the typical data value would be from the mean. One activity you can do is, why do you need the mean absolute deviation, or the MAD? Here is a question. So show this data 1111559999 using a histogram. And you're going to graph that data. Now, these bars won't touch even though it's a histogram because there is gaps in the data. Remember how we describe our distributions with SOCs? So think about the spread of this or the shape of this. Then calculate the mean, median, and range for the distribution. Notice that the mean, median, and range, the mean and the median are both 5 and the range is 8. To find the mean absolute deviation, you take each data value and you subtract the mean from it. Then you find the absolute value, you sum those and take the average or the mean. So in this particular distribution, the mean absolute deviation would be 3.2. So again, the mean absolute deviation is the measuring the distance from the mean. And you might be thinking, I have never heard of the mean absolute deviation, but I've heard of the standard deviation. The standard deviation and the mean absolute deviation both report an average distance from the mean. The difference is how they're calculated. The formulas look different. You'll see the formulas later. Here's the formula for the mean absolute deviation. Again, you take each data value, you subtract the mean from it, you take the absolute value of those, that's why it's called the absolute deviation. What that's doing is making those positive distances. Then you sum them all and you divide by how many there are. So MAD is a precursor to standard deviation that is used in middle schools, and it is a standard in middle school that they're able to calculate and interpret the mean absolute deviation. Thanks for watching. I hope this explained mean absolute deviation to you.